The story begins by introducing an era known as the Age of Great War, a time where only the strong dictated law. Within this ruthless world existed the Murim territory, where a brutal battle unfolds with blood spilling everywhere. In this land, a foot steps into a pool of blood within the supreme Murim. At the pinnacle of martial arts, there was one man who stood alone amidst the flames and unified the world. His presence was absolute, and his name was the Fist King Asura. An enemy commander on horseback looks down at him, questioning if his persistent madness has led him here to throw his life away. He scoffs that no matter how great Asura is, he cannot stop an army of 100,000 alone, asking what scheme he has up his sleeve. Asura stands with his back turned, repeating the mention of an army of 100,000 with disinterest. He turns his head, his eyes glowing as he asks just what significance a mere number like that holds. He glares at the vast cavalry, declaring that they are still playing those disgusting number games and will never defeat him in their lifetime. The commander grits his teeth, enraged that not a sliver of shame exists in him and his audacity knows no bounds. He screams an order to behead him, sending the massive army charging forward with weapons drawn. He appeared alone without a single weapon, but his martial power surges intensely. His strength was enough to overwhelmingly destroy everything, sending soldiers flying through the air. A massive impact creates a shockwave, tearing the ground apart. Before his power worthy of being called the strongest, even the masters who commanded the Murim fell one after another. Finally, under the name of the Sura kingdom, he succeeded in unifying the world as one. The scene shifts to the quiet night scenery of the Sura kingdom's capital, Muwal. High up on a desolate mountain peak illuminated by the full moon, a meeting takes place. Maya Wall and her subordinates bow deeply off the edge of a cliff, congratulating their liege. Asura sits looking bored, nodding that after defeating so many enemies and unifying the plains, there is nothing else to achieve. He looks back sharply, demanding that Maya Wall cut to the chase and explain why she called him to a place like this. She smiles, stating that he is the only king who unified the Central Plains through martial power alone. She praises him as the greatest fist king, claiming even the epithet of martial god is now insufficient. She gestures to a red ritual circle, stating she has brought him here to offer a secret manual worthy of his majesty. She claims the only one who can handle the power within the manual is him, pointing to a chalice wrapped in chains. Asura approaches the glowing object with mild interest, repeating the mention of a secret manual. Blood drips from his hand into the dark liquid of the chalice. Suddenly, red glowing chains erupt from the ground, surprising him. The chains tightly bind his wrists and ankles, immobilizing him completely. Asura's eyes widen in shock as he realizes the trap. He struggles against the restraints, looking angrily at his subordinate. Maya Wall declares his tyranny ends here, and that she will rule the Sura kingdom from today. Asura stares at her silently, his expression darkening. She looks at him coldly, telling him to just go quietly. However, Asura forcefully shatters the chains, demanding to know if she has forgotten who he is. Energy surges around him as he declares he is destiny and destruction personified. Maya Wall spins around in panic, screaming at her men to open the barrier of the celestial abyss at once. Asura lunges forward to kill her, his fist glowing with power as she watches in fear. His hand reaches out to crush her but meets resistance. Asura's eye twitches as he feels a pulling force. He is suddenly dragged downwards into the open barrier while Maya Wall watches him fall. Red energy entangles him as he plummets into the depths, wondering what this is. A massive pillar of red energy erupts from the abyss, swallowing him completely. Silence returns as Maya Wall gazes into the pool of blood reflecting her figure. Her army stands behind her, observing the success of their betrayal. The warriors fall to their knees, shouting congratulations to their liege. Maya Wall turns to accept their loyalty as they hail the new sovereign of the Sura kingdom. She looks out with a cold satisfaction, having usurped the throne. The narration states that the Fist King Asura, who once ruled the world, met his end in such sudden futility. A blue system window appears, asking a summoned soul if they would like to participate as a player. Receiving no answer, question marks appear on the screen. The system awkwardly asks pardon and urges the player to hurry and press accept. Suddenly, a fist smashes right through the system interface, shattering it. The summoner, Kim Yuta, wakes up and wonders what that sound just was. He scratches his head, sensing something incredibly ominous as a small fairy floats behind him. Suddenly, the fairy screams for Yuta to watch out as a massive red dragon jaw snaps at him. Yuta reacts instantly, using his sword to block the dragon's ferocious swoop. He slides back across the floor, clicking his tongue at the sudden ambush. The dragon charges a ball of fire in its mouth, as the system warns of an incoming inferno breath with a 2-second cast time. Yuta notices the notification with alarm. The dragon fires a massive beam of heat, described as an AoE fire magic attack with massive damage potential. As the flames engulf the area, a skill called Climber's Strategy reaches 85% analysis. The analysis completes, automatically countering the skill and boosting fire resistance to 150% as Yuta prepares his blade. He charges through the fatting flames, swinging his sword. He leaps towards the demon dragon, his sword glowing with divine light. A massive pillar of light erupts as he activates the holy sword of Asterian's heavenly judgment. The system confirms he has 9 uses of the skill remaining. The energy tears right through the dragon's head. The beast falls in 2 pieces, and the system announces the defeat of the 998th floor boss, Inferno Balrog. Yuta lands safely as the final quest updates to reach the top of the tower and complete the conquest, though he sighs that it was close. The fairy asks him what is wrong as he looks around warily. She encourages him, stating only the top of the tower is left now. She urges him to clear the massive tower quickly so they can go see their families. Yuta smiles softly, agreeing that she is right and saying let's do this. He walks through the hall, reflecting that it has been 3 years since he was summoned with the sole goal of conquering the tower, but he feels uneasy. Sweat trickles down his face as he wonders what could possibly be waiting on the other side. The fairy looks at him with concern, calling his name as he stands silently in the shadows. He places his trembling hand on the door, telling himself to pull it together. Massive doors open to a blinding light, and he assures the fairy he is okay to proceed. He convinces himself that no monster on the final floor can surpass his stats, and that he is going back to his original world. But at that moment, he sees a figure amidst the ruin. The being that appeared before his eyes was radiating an overwhelming aura. It was a long-haired man with scars who simply grunts in confusion. Asura crosses his arms, asking what they are, while Yuta stares blankly. The fairy hides, asking if it is a gorilla, while Yuta wonders what is up with this middle-aged man. Yuta stares at the man standing in the wreckage, realizing this guy must be the final boss. Asura looks around the Gothic hall, realizing that woman Maya Wall really did lock him up in here. Yuta hears him talking and realizes he is a monster with a high level of intelligence. Yuta grips his holy sword, telling himself not to be fooled by appearances since this is the tower's final boss. He dashes forward with speed, deciding to put an end to this immediately. Asura notices the attack coming with a confused expression. Yuta swings his glowing sword down, but Asura stands his ground. The blade strikes Asura's body, creating a massive flash of light but does not cut him. Yuta screams that this is the end as he unleashes more power. A massive vertical beam of the holy sword comes crashing down, reducing his charge count to 8. Yuta lands, thinking the enemy is much weaker than he expected. But Asura casually holds the beam of pure light with his bare hands, asking the brat what he thinks he is doing. Yuta's eyes bulge in shock, unable to believe he stopped the ultimate skill with just one hand. Asura swings his arm to counter, as Climber's Strategy attempts to analyze the target's weakness. The analysis completes, targeting a weakness, and Yuta thrusts his sword forward again. The system predicts an extremely high success probability of nearly 88%. Asura simply puts his hand through the energy blade, unfazed. He catches the tip of the holy sword with 2 fingers as error messages begin to flash red. The system announces a critical error and that the probability of success has plummeted. Yuta stares in horror as the success probability drops to less than 0.5%. Sweating profusely, Yuta panics, nodding that this has never happened before. A terrifying demonic shadow looms over Asura, and Yuta screams internally, wondering who this old man is. Asura speaks calmly, telling the brat there is no need to be so terrified. Asura leans sideways against gravity on a pillar, stating he does not bother fighting those not worth his time. Yuta repeats the insult, offended by the claim he isn't worth it. Asura looks at him with pity, saying that with his current skill, he wouldn't waste even a single punch on him. His expression turns serious as he asks to know exactly what this place is. Yuta suddenly smiles, thinking he understands why neither judgment nor strategy worked. He assumes this stage is a gimmick meant to prove his strength from the start, laughing at his own misunderstanding. He believes he can only deal actual damage by showing his true value. Lightning crackles around him as he prepares his blade to prove his value. He activates his unique skill, Chosen Hero, maximizing all his stats for a set duration. Yuta dives from the ceiling, shouting for him to eat this absolute maximum power the system can grant. He brings his sword down wreathed in lightning as Asura watches him approach. The system displays Yuta's status window, boasting level 99 and maximum stats of 999. Asura looks at the floating blue screen, reading the maxed out numbers for strength and agility. His eye widens in rage as he asks if he talks about strength with these pathetic mere numbers. His fist clenches and smokes as he calls a world where people measure strength through blue windows utterly revolting. He declares that it no longer matters to him what this place is. He takes a stance, gathering immense pressure, and vows to fix Yuta from the ground up. Yuta screams, swinging his sword with full force. Asura throws a punch, deciding to start by destroying that disgusting blue window first. The force of the Fist King-style destruction shatters the system interface into glass shards. A massive shockwave erupts, hitting Yuta and bending the air itself. Yuta's face distorts in pain as he screams from the impact. His status window completely shatters, breaking the maxed-out numbers. Red warning boxes appear, stating the system has sustained critical damage. Yuta is blasted out of the tower into the sky, screaming that this is impossible and ridiculous. The system notifies that all stored stats have disappeared and recovery has failed. A final warning icon appears as the system shuts down. Asura stands amidst the debris, asking if he sees now that true strength cannot be measured with numbers. He grins menacingly, declaring that the blasted numbers game ends here. Yuta lies broken in the rubble, unable to move. Reduced back to level 1, he cries and laughs in despair, realizing he was completely wrong. Yuta reflects on his past, explaining that 3 years ago he was summoned to a mysterious tower of unknown origin. He climbed the tower alongside many comrades, but in the end, the only one who survived was him alone. The scene shifts to the past as Yuta calls out to his fairy companion Nova, asking if conquering the tower will truly let him return. He remarks that the more he thinks about it, the stranger it is, since they are told to climb blindly without knowing what dangers await. Nova floats down, agreeing that, as he said, returning to their original world might be impossible even if they climb. However, she reminds him that Goddess Eshua said that everything within this tower has a purpose. Nova beams with hope, declaring that surely Yuta's journey will have a precious meaning. In the present, Asura looks down with glowing eyes, declaring that these tedious number games will now end here. Yuta lies on the ground, paralyzed by the overwhelming force that just occurred. His status shows he is reduced back to level 1, and he cries realizing he messed up and made a terrible mistake. Asura stands over him as Yuta stammers, terrified that his status window has disappeared. Yuta scrambles backward in panic, shouting for his inventory and his quest window to appear. He screams in denial, unable to believe the system reboot or that something like this is even possible. Asura calls him utterly pathetic, asking if he is still unable to escape from those number games in his delusions. He looks away dismissively, declaring that those disgusting blue windows will never appear again. Yuta trembles violently on the floor, smiling out of fear as he begs Asura to please spare him. Asura reiterates what he said before, stating he has no interest in killing someone who isn't worth fighting. He crouches down to Yuta's level and decides to ask him what kind of place this is. With a sharp glint in his eye, he demands to know what he must do to return to his original world. Yuta is stunned by the question, wondering if this guy is a player like him, before admitting he doesn't know either. Yuta explains that other than clearing the final stage, there is really no other known way. Asura looks confused by the terminology, repeating the words final stage and clear with skepticism. Yuta panics internally, wondering who this guy is and if he came from the Joseon dynasty to not know such nonsense. Sitting before the scary man, Yuta decides to try and put it in simpler terms for him. He punches his palm, explaining that in one word, you have to clear this entire tower. Asura asks for clarification, and Yuta confirms he must clear everything from the very first floor to the top without leaving anything. Yuta smiles nervously, advising him that if he is a player, he should start slowly with the quests as that is simple enough. Asura suddenly grins with malice, declaring that in that case, he shall crush this damn tower right now. Yuta falls back in terror, shouting no and trying to explain that destroying it isn't what he meant by clearing it. Ignoring him, Asura unleashes the Fist King Asura-style destruction directly onto the floor. A massive pillar of energy erupts upwards, piercing through every single floor of the enormous tower. The red text of destruction fills the screen as Yuta watches in horror, realizing holy shit. As the floor collapses beneath him, Yuta screams wait, asking why the hell he is destroying a perfectly fine tower. The entire structure of the tower begins to crumble and explode from the inside out. Yuta plummets through the air amidst the debris, screaming and wondering who the hell that guy is. Nova appears, her eyes wide with shock, screaming that he is destroying the tower with his bare hands and asking how that is possible. Seeing Yuta falling helplessly toward certain death, she dives down shouting his name. Yuta looks up in surprise, stammering Nova's name as she rushes toward him. Nova successfully catches Yuta by his coat, just in time to stop his fall. Yuta asks where she has been all this time, saying he thought she was gone, but she apologizes and says she grabbed his sword. She looks back with a serious expression, urging that more importantly they must get out because something big is about to happen. Yuta looks at her in confusion while carrying her, asking what she means by something big. He lands on a piece of debris, wondering what could be bigger than the current situation as the air glitched. The system detects an error and illegal access, creating a massive black void that consumes everything. A purple warning box announces that the system is deleting all data from the destroyed tower. Yuta watches as a black hole opens up, swallowing the ruins of the tower into nothingness. He realizes that all the tower debris is being sucked in, though he doesn't know what that hole is. Nova warns him that if they get caught in that suction, they would really be screwed. The system flashes a warning that the trash can is almost full and data that could not be deleted is leaking out. Asura lands with a heavy impact, surrounded by lightning and red energy. He stands up straight, looking around with a confused expression as if sensing something. He looks down at his foot near Yuta, remarking he felt like he stepped on something, asking if it was his imagination. He crosses his arms, frustrated, asking why isn't anything happening now that he's done. He states he completely cleared the tower just like that brat said, while Yuta screams from below, "No, mister." Yuta stands up and shouts that even though he is overpowered, he can't just go around destroying everything. Asura walks away ignoring him while Yuta asks what if something happens, only for a purple beam to strike. Yuta shields his eyes as a massive column of energy crashes down right in front of him. Asura looks back thinking a successor finally appeared, while Yuta stares in shock. A woman walks out of the energy, and Asura calls her just an unwelcome guest. Asura's eyes widen in recognition as he stammers upon realizing who she is. A woman resembling his subordinate walks forward, and Yuta gasps, recognizing her as Maya Wall. Maya Wall asks if it was him, the arrogant bastard who destroyed her tower. Asura grinds his teeth, veins popping as his rage reaches its boiling point. He launches himself at her, shouting that she was hiding here and asking how dare she do that to him. Maya Wall simply flicks her finger downward with a bored expression. An immense invisible force slams Asura face first into the ground, creating a crater. Yuta watches in absolute terror, shouting "Mister" as the monster is subdued instantly. Maya Wall floats above the crater, looking down at the suppressed king, asking if he didn't hear her. She leans forward with a cold smile, asking again if he is the one who destroyed the tower. Yuta steps back trembling, thinking it is impossible to subdue that monster of a man in one go. He stares at her back, wondering if the goddess Ashua that Nova mentioned could be this person. Asura digs his fingers into the ground, grunting that he sees now. He stands up despite the pressure, nodding that she is certainly different from the Maya Wall he knows who didn't use this strange power. He crouches ready to spring, concluding judging by the way she speaks, she is definitely the one who built the damn tower. He smiles ferociously, accusing her of being responsible for those disgusting number games too. He declares fine, he cleared it all just as she said, referring to the tower and the games. He powers up, demanding that she immediately return him to his rightful place, his kingdom. Maya Wall stares at him blankly before letting out a soft sound of amusement. She bursts into laughter, clutching her chest, telling him that he is quite amusing. Yuta and Nova look at her fearfully as she asks who told him such an absurd thing about returning by clearing the tower. She turns away, telling him fine then, whether it's the tower or stat windows, go ahead and destroy as much as he likes. She creates a dark portal in her hand, promising that if he destroys everything she made, she will send him back to his world. However, she warns it won't be easy, as the system announces data in the trash can is being restored. The glitching text confirms that dummy players are being produced from the leaked data. Yuta stares at the purple light, paralyzed and asking what this is. He is horrified to see the faces of his dead comrades regenerating from the energy. Maya Wall grins demonically, stating that because from now on the towers he must destroy still remain in great numbers in this world, as dozens of towers loom in the distance. A figure of one of his dead comrades steps forward from the light, shocking Yuta completely. Hearing this mockery of his comrades, Yuta immediately charges toward Maya Wall with his sword in hand. She blocks the sword effortlessly with a small barrier, looking at him with annoyance asking what this is. Yuta glares with glowing red eyes filled with rage, while she calls him a worthless piece of trash. Two figures stand with purple energy, warning that it won't be easy. Maya Wall explains that because from now on, Countless figures appear, representing the towers he must destroy. She laughs maniacally, stating they still remain in great numbers in this world. Yuta stares in shock as the purple energy engulfs the armored figures. A dead comrade steps forward, chanting for everyone to climb the tower quickly. Wall looks down coldly, stating that no matter what power he possesses, declaring the balance of this world won't be so easily changed. Yuta charges forward with his sword. He slashes at Wall with a beam of light, but a barrier stops it completely. Yuta stares at the impact. Wall looks at him asking what this is. She questions who this worthless piece of trash is. Yuta screams in rage, asking what she is doing and if his comrades weren't all dead. He recalls the comrades who risked their lives with him to climb the tower without purpose. He yells at her, asking if she brought them to the tower just to treat them like this. Wall pushes Yuta away with a wave of energy, creating a massive shockwave. She walks away, asking isn't that obvious that they are merely pieces required for a perfect world. She smiles, explaining the world she created is still unstable, so she can't do much without his power. She reveals she made him climb the tower through virtual missions called quests to make him stronger. She declares she no longer has business with him, slamming him into the ground with gravity. She raises a dark orb of energy, politely asking player Nim to please vanish from here. Yuta grits his teeth, crying out damn it. He blames himself, realizing he should never have climbed that tower in the first place. His eye glows red with regret, thinking if only he were stronger or wiser, he could have eliminated that woman. Suddenly Wall's hand was cut off. A massive impact strikes the area, disrupting Wall's attack. Wall looks back in shock, asking what just happened. A heavy foot lands on the ground as Yuta lies safe, hearing someone say they misjudged him. Asura grins fiercely, asking how dare Yuta lay a hand on his prey before he did. Yuta looks up in surprise at the Ajasi, who says his courage is admirable but it's too early for him. Asura leaps into the air above Wall, declaring the one who will take her head. He smashes down with a fist of gold energy, causing a massive explosion of force. He looms over her, declaring that it is this king. Wall's neck is grabbed by his large hand, and she calls it truly amazing. She places her glowing hand on his chest, saying she won't let that power run wild. Purple energy restricts Asura, and he demands to know what wicked trick she is using now. She caresses his face while binding him, whispering a request to conquer every tower. She leans back, promising she shall be waiting for him at the highest point of this world. Wall vanishes into purple particles, leaving Asura kneeling on the ground. Her voice lingers, asking him to please conquer every country in this world. Asura stands alone in the ruins, thinking that no matter how much he thinks about it, she resembles her. He clenches his fist, wondering why Wall sent him to a place like this. Suddenly, a dead swordsman lunges forward to attack. Yuta intercepts the strike with his own blade, sparks flying. Yuta screams their names, Yong Myung-hoon and Choi Yunseo, asking if they don't recognize him. Nova floats nearby, warning it's no use as it's just a memory response. Yuta hesitates, stammering as he looks at his friend's face. Suddenly, Asura punches straight through the dead comrade, asking what the brat is doing. He slams the corpse into the ground, telling Yuta they have no time to fight cannon fodder. Asura looks back with intense eyes, ordering Yuta to quickly guide him to where those damn towers are. Yuta stops him, shouting no and arguing that these people are his comrades. Asura glares, questioning the word comrades and asking if they really look like comrades to his eyes. He explains they are merely vengeful spirits of the dead, and clinging to them won't change anything. Asura walks past him, stating if he chooses to be uselessly sentimental, he can stay and play with ghosts. Countless dead players leap into the air to attack the Fist King. Asura engages them, dodging and striking with incredible speed and precision. He swats away an attacker, laughing that these damned ghosts dare to block this king's path. He charges up a punch, deciding that since he is busy, he will blow them all away at once. Asura unleashes his technique, the Fist King Asura-style destruction. He executes the move, but the impact seems quieter than usual. He looks at his hand, realizing he can't feel any internal energy and wondering if she sealed his danchin. Instead of frustration, he covers his face and laughs, finding it quite amusing that she dares to test him. Dead players pile onto him, but he declares that no matter what she does, she cannot stop this king. He throws bodies into the air, proving that even without martial arts, this king is still the strongest. He punches a path through the army, asking if he shall loosen up for the first time in a long while. Bodies fly everywhere as Asura brutally tears through the opposition. Yuta watches in awe, admitting as expected, that man is a monster to take on so many alone. However, his expression turns serious as he notices something important. Despite Asura's power, the dummy players are regenerating, and Yuta fears even he might get exhausted. Electricity crackles around his sword handle as he decides he has to help him. Nova shouts for Yuta to calm down, terrified of what he is about to do. She warns him that with his stats gone, recklessly using the holy sword could kill him. Yuta activates the sword, telling Nova he is aware but if he doesn't do this. A dead female comrade crawls towards him, calling his name and asking to climb the tower. Yuta slashes down with tears in his eyes, cutting down the specter of his friend. He stands with glowing eyes, realizing he won't be able to avenge his dead comrades otherwise. He watches Nova fly up as he declares that no matter what, he will find the woman who did this. Yuta sprints into the fray, shouting Ajasi to get his attention. Yuta is engulfed in golden aura, asking Asura if he can withstand this without dodging. Asura punches a ghost, confused by what the brat is talking about as Yuta tells him to draw aggro. Asura punches another enemy, offended that the brat dares to order him around. Yuta smiles, seeing that all the dummies' aggro has been successfully drawn to Asura. Yuta leaps high into the air above the crowd, declaring that now is his chance. The undead players look up, freezing in the face of the gathering energy. Yuta cries tears of grief, whispering an apology to his friends. He swings his blade down, promising that he will definitely get their revenge for them. A massive pillar of light erupts as he activates the holy sword of Asterian heavenly judgment. 3 rings of energy expand outward, decimating everything in a massive explosion. The smoke clears to reveal Asura standing arms crossed, saying good grief at the arrogant brat. He looks down at the kneeling player, admitting he is quite useful after all. Yuta breathes heavily, telling the Ajasi to just keep one thing in mind. He stands up shakily, pointing his sword and declaring the one who kills that woman won't be Asura but him. Yuta collapses from exhaustion, falling into Asura's waiting arms. Asura laughs heartily, finding it hilarious that this brat who is less than dust dared to command him twice and decides to give him a reward for making him laugh. He carries Yuta, promising that if he ever becomes stronger than him, he'll give him the chance to kill her. He looks out at the vast landscape, saying he looks forward to it. The scene shifts to a boot stepping onto a rock in a distant forest. A figure wearing a skull mask and furs stands atop a cliff, holding a large axe. Red energy leaks from the eye of the skull mask, burning with intense intent. In the next scene, a vast landscape of massive mountains comes into view with powerful streams of water flowing down from above. Beneath one of these waterfalls, Asura sits calmly, fully focused on his training. After a long period of training, he slowly opens his eyes to test the results. He begins strengthening his physical body, using the force of the water to execute a punch. Asura throws a punch with such incredible speed that the water bursts forward, though he notes the complete absence of internal energy. He realizes the strength of her power, smiling at the boldness of dared sealing his dantian. He looks down at the motionless body on the ground, deciding that there is no other choice given the circumstances. Asura shouts at the figure to stop lying there and kicks Yuta hard in the back without warning, eliciting a sharp cry. Yuta is sent flying, crashing violently into the rocky mountain stones. Despite the impact, Yuta immediately grabs his sword and shouts that the muscle-brained gorilla is finally showing his true colors. Asura touches his chin, observing that the brat hasn't learned his lesson, and asks if he truly wishes for death. He states there is no time to leisurely spar, as the damned towers must be destroyed quickly, and orders him to get up at once. Yuta laughs in disbelief, questioning why he would destroy towers with the old man instead of focusing on finding the woman. Asura yells with a terrifying face, calling him a fool and asking if he still does not understand. Asura explains the wench is undoubtedly hiding inside a tower, declaring this wretched world consists of nothing but the structures she created. He declares with a manic grin that smashing every tower in this world will surely allow them to find and kill her. Yuta looks at him blankly, realizing the man has lost his mind, while Nova whispers her confusion about accompanying them. Nova whispers nervously into Yuta's ear that the man seems far too dangerous. She warns him that the man destroyed the stat window without a second thought, fearing what disaster might occur if they stay. Asura turns around to ask the shrimpy brat what she is whispering about, causing Nova to scream and hide behind Yuta. Asura clarifies that he does not enjoy traveling with them either, explaining that the brat's swordsmanship simply seemed somewhat useful. He leans in to ask if Yuta is just like him, surprising the boy by nodding they are both trying to catch the same woman. Asura turns away, stating that catching her is impossible given how weak their physical bodies are. He stands atop a rock and declares that from this moment forward, he shall strengthen their bodies. Following that decision, the group travels together and soon locates another towering structure. Feet land on the ground as Asura announces their arrival. Asura stares up at the massive structure, wondering if this is one of the towers she created. He turns his head, commenting that they have grown remarkably over the past few days. He looks at a muscular figure, nodding that with such a physique, she might actually be of some minor assistance. A buff Nova bows respectfully in martial arts fashion, shouting her thanks to the master. Asura praises her talent for internal energy, while Nova flexes and attributes her success entirely to his teachings. Asura looks annoyed, wondering when the brat is going to arrive. He looks down at Nova flexing, muttering that being inferior to one's own servant is truly pathetic. Yuta is seen trembling and leaning on a stick, drooling and gasping that he is coming in a second. A flashback shows him carrying a huge log, cursing the lunatics and comparing the task to boot camp. Back in the present, he stares at Nova's front double biceps, wondering why on earth she changed into a completely different person. Yuta finally collapses face first, gasping that he cannot take another step or move anymore. Asura looks down with contempt, calling him a pathetic brat who barely managed to catch up. He looks up at the structure, nodding. The bizarre-looking tower appears even stranger than the one he previously destroyed. Nova flexes and asks if they are entering the tower, while Asura notes the lack of a visible entrance. Asura smiles confidently over his shoulder, telling his disciple that no entrance is necessary. He clenches his fist, declaring that destroying the damn tower right there will be the end of it. Nova cheers from his back, encouraging her master to go ahead and smash the tower in a single blow. Yuta crawls desperately on the ground, shouting to wait and pleading to think about this more carefully first. Asura does not listen at all and unleashes a massive strike, while a system message flashes an error. A red notification box appears on the screen, stating that a fatal error has occurred. Purple energy swirls around Asura as the tower begins to collapse and an aura activates. A message announces forced transport to the tower's interior, and Yuta screams while being dragged in. He screams while falling, asking if Asura is out of his mind and shouting that they should have thought carefully. In the next scene, a city comes into view where the buildings are heavily damaged and ruinous. A bright light appears in the area with a loud sound as the group emerges. Asura and Yuta land, with Yuta groaning as Asura asks about the hideous buildings. Nova returns to her small form crying about her muscles, while Yuta gasps and asks where they are. He looks up at the skyscrapers, wondering if he has returned to his original world. Nova points urgently, shouting for Yuta to look, and Yuta reacts with shock. He looks at the ground, seeing armor-clad bodies, wondering if they are player corpses and why there are so many. He realizes that regardless of how this happened, this is not his world, and wonders where they actually are. Amid the confusion, a mysterious voice suddenly echoes through the area, commanding them to heed his call. As soon as those words are spoken, purple spirits begin to rise from the mouths of the lying corpses. Asura stands silently watching as Yuta stares in shock at the emerging spirits. Yuta questions if the souls of the dead are gathering in one place as they form a sphere. Shoes gently touch down on the debris, and a voice comments on how intriguing the situation is. The man floats down surrounded by purple energy, asking if these are the newly summoned players. He warns them against attempting futile resistance, stating that no matter how much they struggle, the outcome is set. Asura glares intently as the man declares the only one who can reach the top. Purple energy ignites in the man's hand as he activates his magic. He finishes his sentence, declaring himself the Spectre King, and summons a massive skeleton. Yuta looks up in terror, stuttering at the sight of the skeleton and realizing it is on an entirely different level. The skeleton opens its jaw, gathering purple energy in its mouth. As the giant hand smashes down, Yuta screams that it is dangerous and tells the old man to get out of the way. Asura smiles fiercely, preparing a punch and scoffing at the idea that a mere monster is a danger to him. Asura's punch collides with the massive skeletal hand, shattering it upon impact. An enormous force erupts from the clash, creating a massive spherical explosion. Asura stands victoriously, clenching his fist and calling the opponent a pathetic piece of trash. He looks up at the regenerating monster, questioning how one could claim to reach the pinnacle with such meager power. Asura calls him arrogant and pathetic, shouting that the coward is hiding behind a monster. The man's eyes glow purple as he repeats the accusation of hiding behind a monster. Various monsters, including a beast and lick, appear as he remarks on the curious statement, commanding them to struggle until the bitter end. The man glares with killing intent, declaring that he shall put them to the test to see how long they can survive.